you're here for?
Right, and there you go. That is our blanket all nicely down. We've got loads of little creases in there and all those kind of things. It's not going to be looking boring. That's what you basically want. Now what I've gone off and done, I've just got some, what is this, the 6mm Tamiya masking tape. I've just cut right down a nice big long piece and basically cut it to about 1mm wide, and what I've done is I've fed it through. You've got two like little holes just here, which is for when they kind of pick it up with the cranes and stuff, and we're going to use that as like an area where we can put some rope through or something like that, a strap. And what this is going to do is hold it down. So let's get you on camera. Now I've just cut a little hole just underneath here in the cling film, and what we're going to do, we're just going to feed it through this end, which is potentially a little bit tricky. Let's just bend this just there. I'm going to try and get it in and feed it through, right? And what we want to try and do is make sort of like a realistic looking sort of, you know, these straps going down and holding down our blanket here. So yeah, let's sort of put it in a realistic sort of way. Right, now what we can also do, let's bring you in a bit more, is we want to sort of like get our paintbrush and just sort of lightly, you know, stick this down, right, and sort of get it to sort of, you know, sort of go into, you know, the actual putty itself. So then we end up, you know, with, well, we're going to end up with like a little imprint actually, you know, on the putty, and we want to sort of like then feed that around back over here and through the other one, and sort of make all these sort of straps going across, holding it down. And as I say, using a paintbrush, we sort of, you know, sort of get it to push into the putty and make a nice imprint, and then you want to leave that overnight to dry. Right, it might look like I've sort of jumped ahead with all the stowage stuff, but really all I've done is sprayed it and weathered it, and I've literally kind of used the same techniques I've taught you in actually painting and weathering the tank itself. I still went off and I used Ammo's paint range, where I've used the olive drab base and the highlights and those kind of colours. Little differences that I did was, you know, we've got our stowage at the back here with our blanket on top. With this blanket, instead of doing the filter, the green for grey green filter that I did with the tank itself, I just went off and did a different filter, brown for dark green. And what this basically does is gives us different tones of our olive drab, just to kind of liven things up a little bit. And then there's also some bits where, say for example here at the front, we've got a bit of stowage just here, and just to give that a different shade of olive drab, I actually used dark brown wash for grey, for green vehicles, the wash that we used actually on the tank, and I didn't put filters on it. The whole idea is you just mix it up a little bit here and there, different bits of stowage and all those kind of things, even to the point where I literally didn't put any filters on, say, these jerry cans here. I just used the wash just to, you know, bring out any kind of detail there, and it just gives it different tones, makes it look a little bit more lively than doing absolutely everything the same kind of style, olive drab and all the same weathering. And hopefully, as you can see, you know, all I've done is I've just glued it down, and it is looking pretty cool now. I do quite like that. So just put that to one side, and what we're going to do now is do our antenna. As you can see as well, I've just put some you know, bits of stowage as well on our turret there. But what I want to do now is we want to sort of make a an antenna. Now to do this, you want to get a bit of scrap sprue, I want to just get a lighter here. Now you can come along and do the whole lighter trick where we actually use the lighter. I prefer to come along and just get out a candle. It's easier and it's safer, right? Because this way we've got two hands to actually use here. Now what you want to do, right, is it is kind of tricky. You're probably going to maybe do a few attempts at this, but it's no problem because you've got loads and loads of spare sprue lying around here, there and everywhere. So I'm just going to put it under the candle and I'm just going to wait for the plastic itself to start to bend. Right, see how that bends there? And then we just want to start pulling it ever so slowly, ever so carefully. Right, and at some point you're going to be pulling it and then it's going to really start to kind of get quite tight. Right, that is where it's cooled down and it wants to stop sort of pulling and, you know, giving us this nice long bit of plastic. Then you want to hold it there, right? Remember, don't have it over the candle because that will happen, it'll break. So just quickly show you that again. Put it over the candle, wait for it to bend. Right, waiting for it to bend. There we go, we're bending. Okay, maybe not quite, so maybe just put it over the candle a little bit more, and then we pull ever so slowly until the plastic then starts to kind of come quite tight. And at that point you just want to hold it, you know, for maybe like 30 seconds or something until it dries, and you'll end up with a nice sort of long bit of antenna, which, just to show you, I made one earlier. Blow the candle out. Here we go. I made one earlier. I even painted it nice and black. And if you take your time, you have a couple of goes at it, you can get a nice long bit like this. And what you want it to be is just getting thinner and thinner as you reach the end. Right, and it really does give you a nice antenna there. So all you need to do to mount this, you know, I'm just going to speed this up now and bring this to a close. You just need to sort of drill a tiny little hole where you want the antenna to go, and you literally just glue that in, nice and easy. And basically this is done now. So here we are, all nice and finished now, and I'm just going to give you a final last little conclusion to all of this. As you've seen throughout the build, I mean, this went together really, really nice. No real kind of fit issues or any problems with that at all. You know, it has been a rather enjoyable kit to put together. And what I liked about this one is started using Mig Jimenez's new ammo range of paints, filters, washes, you know, you name it, we pretty much used it all. I do like their paints and their whole new modulation effect, and I do like, you know, all the different techniques that we threw in this. And to finish it off, you know, as you can see, you know, we did all this stowage stuff going on in here. There is a little bit more stowage stuff that I do want to add to this, but I think it kind of deserves its own shall we say product review or a tutorial. So you know, look out for a few little added features I'm going to be putting onto this up in the upcoming months. But yeah, I mean, I really do hope you like this. It has been really enjoyable. Hopefully you've learnt a lot from it as well. And to be honest with you, if I was to do things differently, I don't think I would do things differently. You know, it has been, you know, it has turned out rather well. A nice diorama to go with this would also be rather cool as well. Maybe I'll do something like that in the future months to come. But yeah, apart from that, you know, really chuffed with it. So hopefully, you know, you've enjoyed that. So until next time, my name is Bobby Waldron, this is Genesis Models, and I hope you've enjoyed.